What is up guys, Krotok here, and today I'm here with another Digimon deck profile. Today we are going to go over the Grace Novamon deck from EX-05. So Bandai has been giving us a lot of gimmick decks for every EX set since EX-03, and this is the new set there. I think this deck is a little bit better than those other ones, but it still has its flaws. So let's go over the deck and then we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of the deck later. So let's go over the Digitamas first. So we are going to be running 4 of the Moonmon for Digitamas. The other option is the Sunmon, but I quite like the Moonmon a bit more because you can kind of manipulate your evolution costs with this by just slapping down Tamers. So if you want to Digivolve into a level 6, you can do it for 3 instead of 4 sometimes. And yeah, I quite like it, but the Sunmon is also a nice option. It's good that they give us 2 to adjust to each player's playstyle. Let's go over the level 3s first, because this deck is pretty unique in the mechanic that it has. So for the level 3s, we are running 4 of the Coronamon and 4 of the Lunamon. So these have the same inherit skill. The inherit skill is, during a main phase, you can put one of your Light Fang or Night Claw and put one of the top card to the evolution source, and then you can get 2 memory. So basically what happens is, for example, if you have this, you proc this guy's effect, you move this to the bottom, you get 2 memory, and then the idea is to Digivolve into another one to manipulate your stack, and that will help you build up your win con. So we'll go over, as we go up the levels, we'll kind of explain a little bit more, but these inherit skills are pretty good for helping you do that. And their main skills are different. One is if you have for the Coronamon, it's whenever you have a Light Fang or a Nightclaw Tamer, you can get 1 memory back. And then for the Lunamon, it's return one of your Digimon back to your hand to get 2 memory. So both of them are good, but I think early game Coronamon might be a little bit better. You have to have something on the field for the Lunamon to bounce. Of course, you also need a Tamer, but I think getting Tamer is not too hard, especially if your opponent attacks into you and you check a Tamer. That will help you out a little bit as well. But they both have their uses. You can kind of Digivolve into whatever one you want depending on the situation. Next, let's go over the level 4s. So we're running 4 of each of the Electricimon and 4 of the Firemon. So each of them have a searching skill, both on play and on evolution, which lets you search for the top 3. The blue one lets you search for a Nightclaw, and then a Light Fang, and then a Galaxy card. The red one lets you search for a Light Fang, and then a Nightclaw or a Galaxy card. So both of them do pretty much the same thing, except fetching your Galaxy will replace your other color search. So their hair skill also gives you a 2k buff. Blue one gives you it on your opponent's turn, and the red one gives it on your turn. So you can use it for offensive and defensive options. And those are the only level 4s running. The lineup looks a little bit weird right now, but you'll see how the deck kind of plays for later on. So the other level 5s running 4 of each of the Freamon and Kurashimon. However, both of them give you a cost reduction on evolution if you have a stack with 3 or more sources, which is why the inherit skills for the Coronamon and Lunamon come in handy. You tuck it in. That way you can kind of build up the stack so that you can reduce the cost for your level 5s. And on evolution and on play, they have a different effect. So the Firemon lets you delete something 5k or less, whereas the Kuresimon lets you stun something. So one of your opponent's Digimon cannot rest. So it's different from Green, where you tap it and they can't suspend. They just can't rest at all. It's a pretty unique new way to stun. I think it's pretty good. Next, let's go over the level 6s. These are kind of like the boss monsters of the deck. You don't have to go into your Grace Nova to win. These guys can actually help you win by their own merit, because they're actually really, really good. So first up, Apollomon. First has Blitz, which is pretty decent. And then on your turn, for every 3 cards in this card stack, you can get 1 plus security check. So you can pretty much attack for 3 security checks with him and then go into your Dynamon for defensive afterwards. And then on your turn, whenever security is checked, you can delete something with less DP than this. So if you have a lot of red cards in this card stack, you can pop something pretty big. So it's pretty good for that. And then after you finish attacking, you can use your effects to go into Dynamon, which gives you health blocker, and then on evolution you can strip sources equal to this card's source, and then all cards with no source cannot rest. So that's pretty stonks. And then on both players' turn, whenever a card is stripped, you can make this card active again. And we're also running 3 of the boss monster of this deck, the Greysnowmon. So we're running 3 of him. It has 1 base security check, so you can do 2 checks with him. And then also it's blocker, so if you jog rest on your opponent's turn, you can use this as a big wall. On evolution, if you jog rest, you can trash up to 8 evolution cards, and then choose 1 card with less source than this card, and then you can pop it. And on both players' turn, when this card would leave the battle area, you can trash 2 cards with the same level to prevent it from being destroyed, or prevent it from leaving the field. So it's pretty good defensive boss monster. I think offensively, the Apollomon might be a better attacker, but this card is just a big wall on the field, so he's pretty good as well. And the best thing is you can do this on your opponent's turn because of the other cards we're going to be talking about later. But yeah, it's a pretty decent boss monster, and I think overall as a deck, it's definitely more consistent than the Alter S. And the Tamers are partially the reason why. We're going over the Tamers and options now. You'll see that the Digimon in this deck we're only running the new stuff here because it works the best. But let's have a look at the Tamers as well. Next we're playing Force and Co. So basically whenever a top card is put into the source, you can rest this card to get 1 memory, which happens a lot, so you can use this for pretty good memory efficiency. And then on your opponent's turn, by playing a card from the source that's the same level as your Digimon, you can jog rest afterwards, and then a card that is played by this card's effect is put in the hand. So if you jog rest, it's not played by the hand, so it keeps on the board, but if you don't jog rest, that card will bounce back to your hand. So you can use it for later on, but most of the time you're going to be using it to jog rest. But if you somehow brick, you can, if you have a level 4 in the field, you can push the level 4 and needs to sort it out to get a search. And that would help you out with unbricking. But that's a scenario that you don't want to happen. Alright, next we're running Ko and Saya. This is the red one. So this is your memory setter. And also on play and during your main phase, you can rest this card to choose one of your Light Fang and a Nightclaw and put it to the bottom, and then you can Digivolve. So pretty much you can do one of your things for free once. And this is one of the ways you can use your Apollomon first, and then you can go into your Dynamon afterwards. So it's pretty stonks. And that was set up for your Greysnova turn if you have the blue one on the field. And for the options, we are going to be running 4 of the blue memory boost as well as 3 of the red memory boost. So these cards are just consistency boosters as well as a turn extender, because if you want to build up all the way, you do kind of want to have more memory to use, and these will help you do that. Also for the rest of the deck, I find putting non-Light Fang, Nightclaw cards into the deck really hinders it. So I decided to take them out, and also used to run the options before I tried them out. Having your stack is much better than using the options, just because your Digimon Digivolving up pretty much does the same thing that the effect would do. So pretty good. Of course, if you do luck sack and hit into the cards for your security, it will be a pretty good advantage, but I don't want to rely on that, and that's why we're running the memory boost, just so you can kind of control your turn and do some memory choking on your opponent's turn as well. So we're running memory boosts. If you're running the Sunmon instead, you can cut the ratio back to 3 blue and 4 red. This ratio is just to make sure that even if you brick, you do have at least the blue one to use. And one of the main downsides for running these memory boosts is there are times where you will whiff, because the ratios is kind of but It's okay, that's kind of how the deck is played. So let's go over how you can kind of draw across your opponent's turn. Alright, so let's go over the combo for the deck. So ideally you want to have these cards in your hand. It's not too hard because of how many searches you're getting, and assuming you have this in your stack, you're probably going to get two searches already and a bunch of draws. So getting this is not too hard because we're running, these ones running 4 of each, and this one running 3, which is fine, and both of them can search for these, so not too hard. Of course, if you really want to max out your chances, you can bump down a memory boost to run one of these, but the memory boost can search for this anyway, so that's fine. Alright, so ideally what you want to do, for example, if you're kind of low on memory, if your opponent choked you, for example, you only have 1 memory, you'd use this to digivolve, and then you can stun it. You can either, if you have another level 5 in your hand, you can use this to put this in stack to get extra memory. But if you're kind of stuck and you don't have anything to use this for this, you can just proceed to the next step. What you do is slap down your Ko and Saya, and since you played a Tamer, you can use the Moonmon to digivolve into your level 6. So you can go into Dynamon, which then trashes your opponent's stack. Depends on the situation. Most of the time, if your opponent has a lot of Digimon on board, you might want to use this to stun them. After that, you use the Ko and Saya to tap to put Dynamon back in the bottom, and then that will let you digivolve into a Palmon for free. And then you'll be able to still blitz with this one. And then on your opponent's turn,
you can use Saya and Ko to bring the animal back out.
And then you can Jogress into Grace Nova. So that's kind of the way you can bring it out, even if you don't have enough memory. Of course, doing this will also give your opponent a lot of memory, so it's not too ideal for depending on the matchup. Because depending on how much memory they do, they can just kind of take apart your stack. But this will be a good defensive option to have, and you can also use this to get rid of the remaining Digimon they don't have. And if they have a Digimon in Raising, you have to also be careful what they have, because they can also take advantage of that memory that you've given them and then push them out, evolve their line, and take apart your Grace Novamon. So that's kind of weakness with this deck. Protection wise, you have 2 times to protect yourself with the Grace Novamon with this line, because you can take apart these, and then you can take apart, take apart this. So the bigger your stack that you build, the more tanky your Grace Nova Big Mom becomes. But it's still a problem. The other problem with this deck is getting the combo pieces in your hand. So it's not hard to get the combo pieces, but there's a chance that in order to get those pieces, you're going to give your opponent more memory than you want to, which is also a problem. But I think for the most part, this deck is pretty fun. I think it's definitely one of the more interesting gimmick decks that we've gotten from the EX sets. I don't think this deck will be getting support anytime soon, just because the deck's pretty new, and the previous gimmick decks, I think that Imperial Dramon, didn't get their promo until like last set, so it might take a while for this. But I think for the most part, it's a pretty interesting deck to play, and it is very, very flavorful to the game. So if you guys are fans of Grace Novamon, definitely check this one out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. But yeah, that's this Card Otaku, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!